Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. Enchanting stood in the middle of his small, sunlit courtyard, feeling the warm breeze brush against his face as his magical pet, Luna, gracefully leaped from a nearby fence. The black cat's sleek fur shimmered with a faint iridescence, a telltale sign of her shadow-based magic. Her eyes, a glowing shade of violet, focused intently on a butterfly fluttering past. With a silent pounce, Luna's paws landed softly on the grass, her predatory instincts perfectly balanced by the ease of her magical ability. "Nice try, Luna," Enchanting chuckled, watching her look up, her tail flicking in slight frustration. "You can catch everything with just illusion." Luna tilted her head, her eyes narrowing as if disagreeing, and in the next moment, her form dissolved into a swirl of dark mist. The cat reappeared atop the roof in an instant, her gaze now fixed on her owner, clearly proud of her agility. Enchanting smiled. Ever since he debonded with Luna, her magic had grown, but she remained her own creature. Wild yet loyal, he couldn't imagine life without her. Suddenly, the peaceful moment was shattered by a loud crash from the neighboring yard. A plume of smoke rose into the air, accompanied by the sound of frantic shouting. Enchanting's heart quickened as he recognized the voice, Mrs. Else's elderly neighbor who kept a magical phoenix. Without hesitation, Enchanting sprinted toward the source of the commotion, Luna bounding alongside him in a flash of shadow. As they rounded the corner, Enchanting's eyes widened. The usually calm and regal phoenix was screeching wildly, its fiery wings ablaze, not with the gentle warmth it usually emitted, but with a scorching intensity that set the nearby trees alight. Mrs. Lee was huddled in a corner of her yard, clutching her robe, fear etched across her face. "Mrs. Lee, are you all right?" Enchanting called, rushing over to her. She looked up, her face pale, owing it so she lost control. "I don't know what, so I'll come over him." Enchanting gaze darted back to the phoenix, which was circling erratically in the sky, flames bursting from its feathers in unpredictable waves. Something was wrong. Phoenixes were magical creatures of great intelligence and calm, known for their gentle flames that could heal, not destroy. Yet here Zalu seemed almost possessed, driven by a primal rage. "Luna," Enchanting whispered, feeling the tension rising in his chest, "we need to contain him." Luna gave a soft growl, her violet eyes glowing as she conjured a barrier of shadowy mist around the frantic phoenix. For a moment, it seemed to work as Zaku's fiery outburst stemmed, but then, with a screech of fury, the bird shattered the barrier, its flames burning hotter than ever. Before Enchanting could react, Zaku swooped down toward them, his beak glowing white-hot. Acting on instinct, Enchanting threw up his hands, summoning a protective shield of shimmering light. The phoenix collided with the barrier, sending sparks flying, but Enchanting gritted his teeth and held firm. Just as he feared, Sashu wasn't acting of his own accord. There was something else, something darker, fueling his rage. "We need to figure out what's causing this," Enchanting said, through gritted teeth, holding the shield as Sashu clawed at it. A sudden gust of wind announced the arrival of Master Fuse, young white beard trailing behind him, as he entered the yard with a calm, authoritative presence. His staff, carved with intricate magical runes, glowed faintly in his hand. "Master Enchanting shouted, relieved. The old magician surveyed the scene quickly, his eyes narrowing. With a single motion of his staff, a powerful gust of wind enveloped the phoenix and Zashu was gently lowered to the ground, subdued by the elder's spell. The flames around the bird's wings flickered and died, leaving only smoldering embers. Master Fell approached, his voice low but firm. "This is not a natural outburst, Enchanting. There's a dark magic at play here." Enchanting nodded, his heart still pounding. "I thought as much. Luna and I were able to contain him for a moment, but it should feel like he's possessed." Master Fu knelt beside the phoenix, his hand hovering over the bird's eyes fiery feather. His brow furrowed as he closed his eyes in concentration. After a long moment, he opened them again, his face grim. "There's a powerful curse lingering here. Someone has twisted the phoenix. It's natural magic, using it against him." "Who could do something like that?" Enchanting asked, glancing down at Luna, who sat by his side, her tail twitching nervously. Master Fu rose, his gaze distant. I don't know yet, but this is no small magic. We'll need to investigate further. If Dachu was affected, other magical creatures could be as well. As if on cue, a deafening roar echoed through the streets, followed by the unmistakable sound of crashing buildings. Exoming's stomach dropped. It was happening again. We need to move, Master Phil said, his voice steady but urgent. Something is orchestrating these attacks, and it's only going to get worse. Ixinawaming nodded, determination flooding his veins. Wait, suck it. The city was in chaos. Magical pets were running wild, terrorizing the streets, their once friendly natures twisted into something feral and dangerous. A pair of elementals surged down the main road, their bodies made of swirling air and earth smashing everything in their path. Flying creatures, griffins, drakes, and enchanted ravens circled the sky like dark clouds, swooping down to attack anything that moved. Itsuruming and Master Fi hurried through the streets, using their magic to shield themselves and any civilians they came across. Luna darted between shadows, her presence a constant source of reassurance to Exoming, though he could feel her unease. She too was a magical creature, and whatever dark magic had taken hold of the others, it was affecting her, albeit more slowly. I can feel it, Exoming murmured as they reached a relatively safe alleyway. Luna is resisting, but it's like there's something pulling at her. Master Fusha nodded gravely. The bond between you and Luna is strong, Exoming. That's why she hasn't succumbed like the others, but this curse is spreading like a disease. We need to find the source, and quickly. They arrived at the entrance to the magical archives, an ancient building where the city's most powerful spells and artifacts were kept. It was also where Master Fools believed they could find clues to the nature of the curse. Inside, the air was thick, with the scent of old parchment and the faint hum of magic. Shelves lined the walls filled with ancient scrolls and tomes, some of which had not been touched for centuries. We need to find records of curses involving magical creatures. Master Fus reflected, look for anything related to dark magic or mind control. Ixoming and Luna set to work, combining through the archives with the urgency of a ticking clock. Scroll after scroll revealed nothing but long-forgotten enchantments and protection spells, none of which seemed relevant. But then Luna let out a low rumbling growl. She was crouched in front of an ancient tome, her glowing eyes fixed on a page. Exoming hurried over his pulse, quickening. The page depicted a dark, shadowy figure wielding an ornate staff, surrounded by twisted, malformed creatures. Beneath the illustration was a single word, the artifact of control. This is it, Exoming breathed. The curse is being cast by an artifact. Master Phelps joined them, his expression serious as he examined the page. The artifact of control, a powerful ancient object capable of bending the wills of magical creatures. If this is in the hands of the wrong person. Ascend the dark mage, Exoming finished, his mind racing. It has to be. He's slowly using the artifact to control the pet. Master nodded slowly. Yes, and he's growing more powerful by the day. If we don't stop him, the entire city could fall. Exoming clenched his fists, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. There's only one place where the artifact could have been hidden for so long, Master Fee said, his voice grim, the Fortress of Shadow. They moved swiftly through the forest at the edge of the city, heading toward the ancient fortress, where the dark mage was rumored to have taken residence. As they drew closer, the trees grew darker, their branches twisted and gnarled, as if the very land itself was tainted by the dark magic emanating from the fortress. Luna's fur bristled as they neared the entrance, her violet eyes glowing with an intensity Exoming had never seen before. She was ready for battle, and so was he. The Fortress of Shadows loomed before them, its towering black walls casting long shadows across the ground. The air was thick with an oppressive energy, and Exoming could feel the weight of the dark magic pressing down on him. We have to be careful, Master Falk warned. The dark mage will have guards, and they want to be easy to defeat. Exoming nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. I'm ready. Luna gave a low growl of agreement, her sleek form melting into the shadows as they approached the entrance. The fortress was as dark and foreboding as its exterior suggested. Twisting hallways and crumbling staircases led deeper into the structure, and the air was heavy with the scent of decay. As they descended, the sounds of growling and scraping echoed through the halls, signaling the presence of corrupted magical creatures lurking in the shadow. Exciting's grip tightened on his staff. They were close now. The final confrontation was coming. Exing could hear the subtle scraping of claws against stone as they crept through the darkened corridors of the fortress of shadow. The wall seemed to close in around them, the oppressive darkness pressing down on their every step. Luna, ever vigilant, darted ahead, her sleek form blending seamlessly into the shadows, her glowing violet eyes the only indication of her presence. She stopped suddenly, her fur bristling, and let out a low growl that echoed eerily through the hallway. Exing froze, tightening his grip on his staff, sensing something just beyond the veil of darkness. A faint rumbling sound grew louder, and then without warning, a massive corrupted griffin leaped from the shadow. Its once majestic wings were twisted and torn, its eyes glowing with the same dark magic that had taken hold of the other magical creatures. It charged toward them, claws outstretched and razor-sharp, aiming to tear them apart. Luna Exing called, already summoning a protective barrier. The griffin slammed into it with a thunderous crash, its claws sparking against the shimmering shield. Luna darted forward, her form shifting into a mist-like shadow as she launched herself at the griffin's sad face. Her claws raked across its eyes, and it screeched in pain, rearing back, giving Exing the moment he needed. With a wave of his staff, Exing cast a binding spell, ropes of glowing light wrapping around the griffin, holding it in place. It struggled and thrashed, but the more it fought, the tighter the bindings became. The creature let out a final roar of frustration before collapsing to the ground, the dark magic within it momentarily subdued. That was close, Exing said, his heart still racing as he glanced down at Luna. She was panting heavily, her fur standing on end, but her eyes gleamed with determination. They had no time to waste. The dark mage was ahead, and they had to stop him before he unleashed even more chaos. They moved quickly now, following the narrow winding path that led deeper into the fortress. The air grew colder and the dark magic stronger as they descended further into the depth. Exing could feel the weight of it pressing on his mind, trying to claw its way in, but he pushed it back, focusing on the task at hand. Finally, they reached the heart of the fortress, a vast open chamber lit by a sickly green light that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. At the center of the room stood the dark mage, his black robes billowing as he raised his staff high above his head. Surrounding him were dozens of magical creatures, all under his control, their eyes glowing with the same dark magic that had corrupted the griffin. Exing's breath caught in his throat as he recognized some of the creatures, the majestic wyverns that once protected the city, the noble unicorns that roamed the enchanted forest. All of them were now twisted and deformed, their natural beauty warped by the dark mage's malevolent influence. "You were too late," the dark mage sneered, his voice echoing off the stone wall. "The artifact of control is mine, and with it I will bend every magical creature to my will. The city will fall and I will rise to power, unmatched by any." Exing stepped forward, his staff glowing with a fierce light. "Not if I stop you first." The dark mage laughed, a low, menacing sound that sent a shiver down Exing's spine. "You mere apprentice magician? You are no match for me. Even now your precious Luna is fighting my control. Soon she'll be mine as well." Exing glanced down at Luna, fear creeping into his heart. He could see the strain in her eyes, the way her fur rippled as she fought against the dark magic, trying to take hold of her. But Luna met his gaze with unwavering determination, and he knew she wasn't giving up. "Luna, stay strong," Exing whispered, his heart pounding as he faced the dark mage. "We can do this together." With a flick of his wrist, the dark mage sent a wave of dark energy crashing toward them. Exing barely had time to raise a shield before it struck, the force of it nearly knocking him off his feet. The magical creatures around the chamber stirred, their eyes glowing brighter as they prepared to attack. Exing knew he couldn't hold back. With a deep breath, he channeled every ounce of his magic into a powerful blast of light, sending it hurtling toward the dark mage. The dark energy recoiled, clashing with the bright, pure magic in an explosion of color and sound that shook the fortress to its core. Luna, sensing the moment of opportunity, darted forward, her shadow form twisting and shifting as she leaped at the dark mage. Her claws raked across his arm, forcing him to drop his staff. The artifact of control clattered to the ground, and for a brief moment the dark magic around the room flickered, creatures hesitating as their connection to the dark mage weakened. "Seized, Exing seized The moment, he focused all of his energy on the artifact, summoning a beam of searing light that struck it dead center. The artifact glowed brightly for a moment, then shattered into 1,000 pieces, the dark magic dissipating into the air like smoke. The creatures in the chamber blinked, their eyes clearing as the dark magic that had held them in thrall vanished. The unicorns stamped their hooves, snorting in confusion while the wyverns shook their heads, stretching their wings as if waking from a long nightmare. The dark mage let out a roar of rage, clutching his bleeding arm. "No, this can't type." Enchanting leveled his staff at the dark mage, his voice calm and steady. "It's thou over you, Vault." With a final scream of fury, the dark mage tried to summon one last wave of dark magic, but Luna was faster. She leaped at him, her form shifting into a swirling mass of shadow and claws, and with one swift strike, she knocked him unconscious. The chamber fell silent. The only sound was the faint rustle of wings as the magical creatures slowly began to disperse, freed from the dark mage's control. Enchanting let out a long breath, his legs trembling as the adrenaline began to fade. "We did it," he whispered. Looking down at Luna, she patted over Quote, her violet eyes softening as she rubbed it against his leg in a rare display of affection. Enchanting knelt down and scratched behind her ears, his heart swelling with gratitude and relief. Master Fault appeared from the shadows, his face lined with exhaustion but filled with pride. "Well done, Enchanting, you've saved the city and perhaps even more than that." Enchanting smiled wearily, feeling the weight of everything that had just happened. "I couldn't have done it without Luna." Master Few nodded. "Your bond with her is strong, stronger than even the dark mage could break. But be wary, Enchanting. There are always those who would seek to use such power for their own gain." Enchanting stood, his gaze drifting over the now peaceful chamber. "I know, but as long as we read together, Luna and I, we will face whatever comes next." The sun was just beginning to rise as Enchanting and Luna made their way out of the fortress, the first rays of light casting a golden hue over the landscape. The city, though battered and bruised, was safe. The magical creatures were returning to their rightful places, and the threat of the dark mage was no more. As they walked, Luna pressed close to Enchanting's side, her fur warm and soft against his leg. He glanced down at her, feeling a deep sense of peace settle over him. They had faced darkness and come out the other side, their bond stronger than ever. And though Enchanting knew there would be more challenges ahead, he also knew that with Luna by his side, there was nothing they couldn't overcome.